Hey guys, this is Cholera once again with Moletrap and Diggity in a triple commentary of C versus Backho, the fourth game of the round of 16 in their group. I have to say though, Backho is probably stinging after the defeat he suffered against Stork in the last game. Sorry if I spoiled this, but I assume you guys have watched that. Game 3 of this series was an absolutely epic game where Stork came back after C was after he was so far behind against Backho. One of the most incredible games I've ever casted, and I did that with Moletrap a few days ago. But how do you think these players rank in terms of C versus Backho? Backho's actually gone far in tournaments. He just doesn't look that strong usually. C, I think, looks strong usually, but just hasn't gone far in tournaments.
I have to feel it's funny because it's almost like Backho's pseudo. I hate to say this because GG plays one of my favorite Zerg. He's kind of the GG play of Protoss, where he doesn't do anything spectacular, he doesn't do anything crazily unexpected generally. He just plays standard game. He doesn't do anything all that spectacular, although I think GG plays Mutalisk Harass is just absolutely fantastic. Backho doesn't have any stellar section of his game, but he just across the board is very, very solid. C is just very, very good about clinging on to games. He's very clutch, at least in Pro League, and he's pretty strong player in general, especially, actually I would say across the board, Medic Marine, mechanized, everything. The problem is he tends to choke in tournaments like this. The OSL and the MSL have been an absolute curse. He's been expected to win a tournament for a very long time now. He still has not done it, and so he really hasn't been able to claim that title of an S-class Terran or even a top-level kind of the Terran to beat sort of thing. So it's always been in someone else's resume. So he really wants to win this. I know that's probably an extreme desire, but honestly, I just don't think the desire has been there. He hasn't had that hunger, and perhaps that's because he's suffered so many losses. But I think more pressure is on C just because of the pressure to win, rather than that is such a creepy picture. Rather than Backho, and we're gonna see a mana pylon trapping 3 SCVs. I have not seen this in a Pro League game, especially against C. Ow! Getting a good 3 SCVs back there. That's definitely going to delay C a little bit, and that's just somewhat embarrassing.
Yeah, that's too bad for C there. C, yeah, he's I mean, he's the choke Terran. He's famous for getting into tournaments and then getting out of them in the early stages. But since this is an early stage of the tournament, I do give C the favor for here. I think he's going to get out of this group. Well, he may get out of the group, depending on how things go. But I think he's favored over Backho at least. And then, once we hit the round of 16, at the very latest, the round of 8, that's when he decides to choke and get knocked out of tournaments by players who shouldn't knock him out, depending on playstyle. But at this point, yeah, like you said, Backho, he's managed to get into some high stages of Star Leagues, but he just doesn't have the skill to back it up once he gets to that higher level. So I'm expecting C to do pretty well here, especially since Terrans have had some pretty decent success against Protoss on this map. This is the map Plasma. As you might have seen earlier, it's the one with the neutral lurker eggs in between the bases. And so Terrans, I think Cholera actually was the one that mentioned to me before how he noticed that, correct me if I'm wrong, that 2 factory pushes by Terrans have been doing extremely well on this map because people don't expect rushes because the lurker egg's in the way, but tanks can just eat through the lurker eggs and get a quick push in to very good effect. And the fact that he's lifting off his barracks means that he's at least going to go for, if not a 1 factory in the command center, he might be going for a 2 factory build after all.
Yeah, and other than fantasy losing early on when he did the crazy 2 barracks rush, I've never seen Terran lose against Protoss on this map. I'm not sure if exactly it's true or not. It's just absolutely every single time we see the Protoss go for at least a 14 Nexus, and one time actually we saw a Protoss go double Nexus before Gateway, which was just absolutely insane. But it looks like actually C is going for a fast expand of his own, so we're actually going to see a longer game here on Plasma for once, because C has planted the command center instead of going for the 2-fact build, and so I think this is actually going to lead to Backho taking a little bit of a lead because he did get that more economic build. He did go for the 14 Nexus, and it looks like apparently he won't be able to, C won't be able to kill him off anytime soon. And we're seeing a starport from C. What do you think that means, Diggity?
I think he's going to go for some quick drop, maybe some mines, some vultures. Honestly, this is a non-standard map. Might as well go for non-standard strategies. It's actually funny because almost standard strategies become the non-standard on maps like this. Robotics facility going up in the meantime, so I'm not sure how effective that'll be, especially if we see the observatory out rather than the reavers, simply because that'll be able to take care of the mines more effectively. But if C does manage to slip some mines or maybe even some siege tanks kind of underneath cliffside and any sort of troops in that regard, I think that could be very strong. But in the meantime, and that probe's not getting any sort of scouting information. In the meantime, C is going to be able to escape with that SCV. Run, SCV, run! Missed chance for the win right there. But yeah, he's going to have the 2 expansions, and he might be able to put on some pressure simultaneously, knowing that it's going to be a while before those lurker eggs come across, or are basically taken down, so he doesn't have to face any Dragoon or any Zealot pressure in the meantime. So I think this is a pretty smart maneuver.
Yeah, see, keeping the scout out of his base, and I think that's critical for this build. He's gone for that expansion, so Backho may think that he's just going for kind of a standard build here, but what I'm expecting is dropships. He's gone straight for that control tower, so I'm thinking he's probably going to get dropships out and try and drop some tanks quickly before Backho's going to be expecting it or something like that. It could be wrong. But I think that would be a pretty effective build on this. He's got to know pretty much what Backho's doing at this point. Yeah, and it would take too long if he was going for a mine rush or something like that. It would take too long for him to break through the lurker eggs without siege tanks, unless he's going to try and drop over them, which is what I'm thinking he's probably going to go for here. He's got his expansion up and running here, and it looks like he might be even thinking about setting up a 3rd expansion at one of the islands. Yeah, so there's the dropship coming out right now, and it looks like there is going to be a couple vultures loaded into that dropship. I wouldn't be surprised if he's waiting for a tank to come out of that factory, and then he's going to move off with that. So there's another expansion going down for C. So if this doesn't pan out, if he can defend, which is pretty easy for Terrans on this map, he's going to be in a good place economically later on. And oh, the shuttle coming in, ferrying a couple Dragoons in. That's an interesting tactic, and he came in at just a point in time, so C saw that and was going to be able to go around, and those Dragoons are not going to be anywhere nearby to defend against these vultures now.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Both players dropping one another. The thing is, Backho might have he should have a Reaver coming out very soon, which should be able to deal with these vultures pretty well. Meanwhile, though, the vultures are forcing those Dragoons back. Nice micro by C. Unfortunately, he still has not gotten either of these Dragoons down. Looks like he finally will be able to. Both players micro. Oh my goodness! Holy crap! That was one great mine there. Absolutely amazing mine. I think he killed off. C has killed off every single probe at the natural expansion of Backho's, so he has taken a huge lead. Meanwhile, I don't know what's happened with those 2 Dragoons inside of his base, but I can't imagine that he's done anything like the damage that C has done. Crippling damage from C, and I have to say, this is C's game to lose right now. That was an amazing mine, and interesting enough, a Wraith being produced is actually very smart. It could be able to intercept that shuttle, and if he intercepts that shuttle and kills it off, that'll be it. It would be GG. Backho can just GG at that point, because he'll have absolutely no chance of coming back in this game.
Yeah, he's going to try to bring these Dragoons up to do a little bit of shielding, but still, with all those supply depots down there, I don't think he's ever going to be able to get that Reaver in position. Here comes the Wraith. The Wraith's going to be able to hit the Siege Tank, and that forces the Reaver down out of position, and it can't come back to scoop that up, so the Reaver is now down, and I'm not going to say that's a total GG. He did manage to ferry the rest of those Dragoons back up, but there goes the shuttle, and yeah, he's in a terrible position right now. C in a very good economic position, also technological position. Tanks chasing Zealots actually in there. I didn't see when the Zealots came up there, but chasing down that tank. The tank does survive, and it looks like C is in fact going to take this game. And looks like another Wraith produced actually right there to probably do some scouting alongside. In the meantime, the Vulture's just hammering away. Finally, that Observer out just to help with that minefield clearing, but I don't think it's going to be in time to save that robotics facility.
Yeah, I am going to call this GG right now. I'm not sure there's any way Backho can come back from this. C now has 3 bases, and Backho effectively has 1 at this point, and he's not going to get the robotic support bay quite down, but I don't think it matters at this point. Backho's finally getting up another expansion, it looks like. He's transferring probes over, but I think he's a little bit too far behind. He's lost all his military. He's got a few Dragoons in his main base now, but just things not going well for Backho at all. And now finally, it looks like C might even be thinking about making an actual push here. He's got 4 siege tanks in his main. If he decides to go through and just skip the dropship play and just go through, bust through the lurker eggs between their bases, that might accomplish something here. And a couple vultures coming in here just for some more harassment. I don't think they're going to accomplish nearly as much as the ones before. But just going to keep Backho off guard long enough for him to build up a few more forces off of his 3 bases, and then that's going to be it.
And not sure if we lost Cholera there, but in the meantime, yeah, it looks like the Reavers just... the Dragoons, it's just not going to be enough. It's just too little too late for Backho at this stage. You can see the frustration on his face. Looks like some SCVs being transferred as well as that, and another base up, so just a huge economic advantage at this stage. Trying to get some more defense and doing even... getting another hit actually on that Dragoon. Looks like actually I think what Backho's going to do at this stage is just try to plop down as many units as possible. He does have shuttle speed in the meantime. He does have that additional expansion up, but I think he's just going to try to clear... my guess is he's going to do a little bit of harassment here. I don't think that's going to be successful, especially with that Wraith in play still. But just clear the eggs, just go straight macro and try to end it there. But honestly, against C, I think he's just going to have a ton of tanks and everything to deal with that on the field. Actually, it looks like he's being sneaky. He's going to go in for kind of a side route. Looks like C's already expecting, though. He already has the turrets in position, and he's probably going to transfer that his anti-air that direction momentarily.
I don't know if Backho knew this base was over here when he was flying over here, but it's kind of fortuitous for Backho, though, because now he's going to be able to attack this base, which is relatively undefended. Oh, the Wraith coming in, though. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a Dragoon or anything to combat that Wraith. So the Wraith's slowly going to be able to get rid of that Reaver, but not before if he can get a nice shot on those SCVs. Run, SCVs, run!
Oh, is it going to go off?
Dud.
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Sorry about that. I was pressed the wrong button for Ventrilo for a second, so that's why I wasn't transferring. But it looks like
got a kill there.
See, coming back though, and getting a lot of SCV sniped off there by that Reaver. So that Reaver's done its job. Actually, that drop was, I'd say, was moderately successful. Of course, nothing really compares to the Vulture drop that C did. That was just absolutely the greatest use of. I don't know how many minerals they are. I guess 250 minerals. No, 300 minerals ever. Those 4 vultures. Anyway, though, it looks like C. He's at 4 bases right now, even though that base was harassed. Backho going for an all-speed shuttle strategy here. Interesting enough, C's actually progressing on his on the ground push. He's already opened up a path from his main base to the middle, and I think on a map like. A map on Plasma, it's really going to be a fight here between the dropships. It's almost like a Protoss versus Zerg in that it's going to be a race between the ground forces of C versus the air forces, the dropship forces of the Protoss player, Backho here.
And yeah, the Dragoon's just hammering away at that expansion now, but the tank's starting to move in momentarily. I don't think he's going to be able to take it down. I'm surprised he's continuing with the air. I was expecting him to open up one of those lurker egg patches, so he didn't have to worry about the shuttles at this stage, because it almost feels like that's additional resources he's having to spend additional gas, just resources he had to spend additional gas on the speed upgrade that he could have been spending otherwise. But I guess he doesn't want to... I guess on the other hand, he wants to make sure he's sticking to shuttles because he feels like he can get them out there faster, they're more mobile, and then he doesn't have to worry about C coming around and stomping his face. He's going to rely just for C to open up that those lurker eggs in the meantime. So maybe taking that a little bit into calculation. Here comes more shuttles. I'm surprised actually that he hasn't dropped off a single probe in any of the other bases to get some additional expansions up maybe around the map while he's doing this harass, because really this is just small amounts of troops. Oh, back off from that Reaver. Reaver Scarab catching one of the tanks right there. But in the meantime, it looks like what he's just doing is he's just going to try to find the holes in C's armament, make sure that the units stay spread out, but I just don't think he has enough shuttles and enough units to do that, especially, there's the Goliath right now, especially with that Wraith in the air, especially with just the amount of anti-air that he has, and a lot in units left and right.
Oh, both shuttles going down. That was a little careless by Backho, letting his shuttles fly around in that Goliath fire. He took way more hits than he needed to from those Goliaths, and losing both shuttles. Losing all of the units in that attack. The Reaver didn't really accomplish anything before. They got a good hit off on the tanks, but didn't accomplish a terrible amount before, before dying to the things chasing it, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think C is in an extremely strong position here, though. Backho showing kind of solid but pretty unspectacular play, just running his shuttles around and just kind of not really having too much direction with his play, just kind of running in shuttles full of units and not really accomplishing too much with them, and he's kind of falling behind in the meantime. It looks like he's getting a 4th base up in another spawn, but C has 4 bases solidly up and running, and a huge army moving up the middle of the map towards Backho's expansions. I think basically C's going to move in here. Backho's going to have one chance to break this army once he sieges up one of his expansions, and if he doesn't break it, then then it's going to be all downhill for C.
Yeah, I mean, Backho's going to have to pull a Jangby here with his Storms. He does have a shuttle loaded with 4 High Templar, I believe, so he's going to, by a Jangby, I mean just somehow kill an army that's many times your size with just Psionic Storm, like Jangby did against Nada. But anyway, basically Backho's going to have to defend like just very, very successful here, and even that I think won't be enough because he can't just rely on the defense. He's so far behind on everything, economy, unit count, everything, and looks like he's just sending a couple of Zealots each time to get killed off. I guess that was probably just miss micro, and looks like C will take down the expansion on the right side. That shuttle actually moving towards the right, though. Maybe he's going to try to do some kind of kamikaze dropping while it's sieged up. No, I don't think that's actually possible. It might be just for some Zealot bombs or something, or maybe just getting in position for when the big battle does occur. He's going to drop the High Templar behind and try to storm these tanks.
Yeah, and you can see he's got a couple units moving up here, but he really needs some Arbiters, he needs some Templar, he needs something more to deal with this huge threat, and he's just getting contained in the meantime by C, just limited to the bases he has, and C in the meantime, he has map control, he has economic control, he's just building up all sorts of units. The Zealot running up there, able to take down one Vulture and smack it in the face, but immediately just getting worked otherwise. Units actually getting caught kind of out of position, and it looks like they're having some reinforcement troubles on Backho's side in the background, and they're coming out, as you can see, piecemeal, one at a time, up into the siege tanks. That's bad news in the meantime. No, here we go. Here's what I was hoping he was going to do earlier. He's going to try to open up the eggs to the south while he's getting hammered from the basically east. And honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. Just he doesn't have enough units to get it done at this stage, and I think reinforcements from C will be able to finish it. And it's just going to be completely. If it comes down to who's going to take out who first, C has those siege tanks. He's going to do it much faster, and he's already got a siege tank in position just to delay that.
Yeah, Backho had his chance. He failed miserably. Nice. Sidestepping the eggs to clear the path. Nicely done. Good idea, at least. And then C blocks it with his Parags. And a supply depot going down in the gap as well. Oh, harsh. But it's not going to be quite enough to block that up. So he is going to be able to get into C's base. But as Diggity mentioned, it's just C's going to be able to kill off Backho so much faster than Backho's going to be able to kill him off. A bunch of Zealots streaming in here, but, you know, 1.5 tanks for every Zealot is not a very good trade-off. I think those Storms would have been better off attacking C's army and trying to drive him back. But, well, I guess, you know, he didn't really have much of a chance, so the counter is a good thing to go with when you're kind of last-ditch effort here. And he's accomplishing quite a bit. Some tanks have fallen back now. If he can protect those, yeah, he gets the Vultures and SCVs in the way of those tanks. And so C is going to be able to save his own main base and one of his expansions at this rate, and there's nothing that Backho can do to stop these tanks from destroying the rest of his base.
That's ridiculous. That's like World War II right there. I just see like the Russian armies coming down, all those unsieged tanks. Just look at that. It's like the Soviet army. It actually reminds me a little of the end of World War II when the Germans went for that last-ditch attack, the Battle of the Bulge, when the Russians were about to take them down. They just went for a desperate last-ditch attack, and that's going to fail. That failed just like this is going to fail. Nice use of Sonic Storm. Once again, we could say that they would have been better used for the forces, but I guess this is going for the win. Oh, nice storms though on the Vultures, but not on the SCVs. I think I guess he just cares about killing as many units as possible. There he goes. Get some SCVs, but really C can lose basically his entire main and still win the game because he has another expansion, and Backho is about to lose all of his buildings. I think he might be even facing elimination very soon. So I'm just amazed by how many tanks there are. GG, yo. And Backho always says ZZ, yo. It's actually evidently a sign of respect, and it's one of the few things you can do creatively in terms of typing in a pro game is you know, how you say GG. So players sometimes try to embellish what they do, and so Backho's signature is ZZ, yo, and yo actually means a sign of respect in Korean.
Interesting. I knew yo was an honorific, but it just seems like they're substituting random letters at this stage, using the XX and the ZZ. You know. No more, it's just standard GG. Oh well. Anyway.
I've seen a couple different variations. I've seen WW a couple times, and
yeah. It's like insert 2 random letters. Eventually, it's just going to be like GL, yo, and it's like what?
Right. And I think on that note, thanks for listening, yo.
Yeah.
Thanks, and hope you guys enjoyed.